So I might regret doing this story, but I do think it's worthwhile, and I think it's the type of thing we really should be doing every once in a while. You might not have heard of rising conservative superhero Candace Owens. She's been making the rounds on lots of the online talk shows. I think she's appeared some places with Dave Rubin, maybe Jordan Peterson. I'm not totally sure about that one. She's being sort of hailed as some kind of unique truth teller who has, I guess because she's black to some degree, broken through the indoctrination that maybe the right feels leads black Americans to overwhelmingly vote Democratic. I don't know, but she has fought her way out of it, and she is now a conservative. So I actually don't even really find her blackness relevant to my analysis whatsoever. There's no doubt that the right loves examples of black people with the, quote, correct views that they can point to, partially to prove how not racist they are. This includes people like, Larry Elder, who's been doing the rounds lately, and others. But I think it's actually more interesting to look at how the right has embraced her, despite what are blisteringly uninformed and, quite frankly, dumb opinions on endless issues. I care about her ideas, not her identity, even though the right, the alt-right, the new anti-SJW right, has basically become an identity movement that claims to be against identity politics. Let's forget about that. I care about her ideas. And what I want to play for you, and really what I want to do is think through what she's saying. I'm going to play for you parts of a recent interview she did on Joe Rogan's podcast. And to his credit, Joe Rogan does offer some pushback to some of the idiocy that she spouts, not nearly enough. And he has been, I don't know exactly what his politics are, but he has provided an environment that has really incubated horrible alt-right ideas, maybe without even realizing it. He does offer some pushback here. Let's dig into this, and you're going to very quickly see how there is no substance whatsoever here.
White walkers at the point.
But I don't understand how you think that we're almost losing America, and there's a battle for America.
I really feel that, like, just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. Like, this woman was a globalist. Like, just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia. Okay,
stop it right there. Already more nonsense than anybody but Trump could stuff into 20 seconds, right? Joe Rogan wants to know how we're losing America. She says she really feels that we are. Isn't she part of the Ben Shapiro facts don't care about your feelings movement? Like, how is it relevant that she feels that we're losing America? So in the first 20 seconds, she says feelings dictate her beliefs. She says Hillary Clinton was a globalist, a term with no meaning, straight out of Alex Jones's conspiracy theories. How is Trump not a globalist by these exact same standards? And then she uncritically repeats the debunked Hillary Clinton Uranium One conspiracy theory. Nothing from Rogan. This is the hero, Candace Owens, that the right is now holding up. So now I guess she starts doing what maybe we would call like a policy analysis of some kind. Take a look.
Like, Trump came in and was like, no, like, America, people, we were the gap, like, we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was like literally.
And what do you think is causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas, the regulation, the government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, like shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not, and this is what Trump understood.
These are manic rantings, right? She's throwing 10 things at the wall to see what sticks. It would be great for Joe Rogan to break it down one by one, because then he could say, well, which factories have been shut down and who shut them down? Are you saying the government shut down factories? Was it Obama and now Trump's doing well by not shutting them down? She points out, well, there's a big gap between the rich and poor. Yeah, that's a bad thing, but that's because of right-wing policies, and it's because of the policies that are similar to the ones Trump has been pushing, right? Shipping jobs overseas, regulation, huge government, entrepreneurs can't do anything. You can't do anything without a piece of paper. None of these are arguments, right? There's not an argument that's actually being made. It's total Gish Gallop nonsense. And then she goes totally off the rails, and in explaining how she was converted from her false liberal beliefs to, I guess, her correct right-wing beliefs, she goes fully ignorant on climate change. And finally, Joe Rogan, I guess, feels he has no choice but to step in.
And Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored. Like, as I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was. Like, and that's the best thing in the entire
what
world.
way?
Just, I fell victim to the idea that like, it was progress. It was progress. It was progress. We have to care about the environment. It was progress. And it's like, no, like we've been losing. America has been losing. And Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't. And
You
I
don't
thought,
think we have to care about the environment? Like, we need,
no, not even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit?
no. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground.
Oh,
Okay? I'm not
okay.
saying like we need to like, trash the environment. Like, but do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't.
I'm not saying throw your trash out the window, but I am saying that climate change is fake. So then we get into this in more detail, right? Joe Rogan says, let's explore that, and this is how it goes.
You don't believe in climate change.
Well, I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I should say. Do I believe that this is like, an issue that is being, that is global warming, which they've changed conveniently. They got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe. They had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It was terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists
Right.
and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them
Right.
and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or
No,
do you
so I
take
think-
this flippant opinion
No,
based
listen,
on the party line?
This wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about the party. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but
What
I
have
would
you
not
read?
be able to, come to you and say like, this is my strong opinion, but here's like the easiest way to say this, right?
She says, I wouldn't be able to come to you and say, this is my strong opinion. She just said definitively that she thinks the entire climate change consensus involving 99.96% of climate scientists is a hoax to extract money from Americans, but she's not going to go to Joe and say she has a strong opinion on the issue. What? New conservative hero, Candace Owens. She has said nothing in the first couple of minutes of video I've played for you here other than spouting conspiracy theories and saying she doesn't trust climate scientists. And then here is the gold mine.
Okay.
The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to.
It's very little.
Yep.
Very little disparity. Most scientists, the vast majority, agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the
Yeah.
consensus are the ones that are correct?
Well, I think if something is, it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths, right?
There it is again. I just don't think so. That's not an argument. I thought facts didn't care about your feelings or of what you thought of them. And then, of course, for all the criticism of postmodernism from this new free speech warrior contingent of the right, she goes postmodern on us by saying there are objective truths and so there's objective and subjective. It's not wrong, but it's completely cherry picking that from a philosophy that these people claim is horrible in order to get out from under Joe Rogan's criticism of her ignorant beliefs. And then she says any .coms can't be trusted, but .orgs can, as long as you're trying to deny climate change.
Dr. Robert Schock. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So
Well, what website is this?
87%, and this is,
Scientific American.
yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like 'cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website, and
Well,
I don't trust.
Scientific American is not necessarily a random website. It's-
Yeah, I don't believe this like at all. Just so you know,
You don't believe it like at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely
Well,
don't believe it.
If she doesn't believe the claims about climate change from anybody that's making money, then she has to stop believing all those climate science denying scientists who are paid by the fossil fuel industry. She has to deny any claims about climate change from for-profit companies like the fossil fuel companies themselves. These are not arguments. And an interesting question for her would be, you don't believe scientists, you don't believe .coms, you really think it's not real. What would change your mind? What would change your mind? And it just goes on and on like this for a very long time. I'm not going to play. How long was this entire interview, Pat? Was it like hours long?
Oh, it's a 3-hour show. Yeah, there's a lot there.
We're obviously not going to do that, but I will play one other moment for you where she seems to be arguing that opinions are by definition uninformed. And that's actually what's at the crux of a lot of the silly intellectual dark web and free speech warrior movement. Take a look.
But that's why I said that's the whole
point. But you're
point.
saying you don't believe it.
Yeah, I would have to have someone sit down and convince me that it was real. I personally don't believe it. That's okay.
But why?
It's good to start at a place of not believing something.
No, it's not.
You think you should start with believing everything?
No, it's not believe either or. Not believe yes, not believe no.
Yeah.
But don't say you don't believe.
Yeah.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about it and then have an opinion. But you're stating this opinion without having any real understanding of what climate science is.
But that's exactly what an opinion is. I'm not going, like I said, if you said that, Candace, you went on to 10,000 college campuses and you said that global warming wasn't real, then we'd have a problem. You and I are just having a conversation.
Joe Rogan says you're stating an opinion without having any justifying evidence for it. And she says that's what opinions are. There is this conflation of healthy skepticism with the distrust of science, combined with the idea that all opinions are just equally someone's feelings about something, right? And that's how you get to Candace's opinion that climate change isn't real, is the same as a climate scientist's opinion based on all the data that climate change is real and caused by humans. This is mind-numbingly ignorant, but it's really dangerous because this person is becoming a conservative hero. She's proud of having uninformed opinions. She's bragging about how she has this opinion totally uninformed by fact. And this is part of the anti and pseudo-intellectualism of this new movement that we've been extensively covering because of how dangerous it is. They say we think they're dangerous because they're finally telling some truth that nobody else will tell. No, they're dangerous because it's making people who don't know anything the heroes of others who also don't know anything, and it's the blind leading the blind. And for people saying, well, then, David, you're not being fair, have her on. She's welcome on the program absolutely anytime. I'm glad to have her on, and we can explore what constitutes justified beliefs and what doesn't, and talk about any issue she wants to. This is what we're fighting. And lastly, I actually sort of question whether she's even really had this incredible enlightenment. I think that she was probably sort of casually on the left and then realized that, hey, there's this entire thing that she can do where she is a conservative and she goes out and says this stuff and it's really appealing to a lot of people. I don't even know that I buy the background story.
Or maybe she's 80% conservative and just adding on all the extra talking points, like the one about climate change.
Maybe so.
And it's interesting, like Joe Rogan, he's probably more liberal than conservative, but he definitely has conservative tendencies.
Yeah.
And so they were getting along for a lot of that time. I watched the whole thing. The first hour or so, they were getting along quite well, and then they got to this issue of the environment because she felt really comfortable in that safe space.
Right.
And that's where Joe Rogan had to go off. You can't really hide in that 3-hour platform.
Total implosion. I mean, total and absolute utter implosion. Send me your thoughts. What am I missing about Candace Owens? The video you just finished watching was made possible by you through the membership program. You can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We are viewer-supported independent media. You can use the coupon code IVOTED17 for a 40% discount off of your membership.